Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble home here in Livingston, Montana. I have got the 5th of December of 2021 today, and my subject matter is pure stupidity. Let me just put it to you that way. I'm going to make a few comments about this Alec Baldwin thing. This Alec Baldwin fiasco. Okay, right off the get-go here, I don't like that guy. I plain and simple don't like his attitude, the way he treats people. He's a narcissist. He treats people like ever-loving you-know-what. He thinks his crap doesn't stink, and he's got an ego the size of Montana and every other doggone thing. But the latest snafu that I seen this fool get involved with here a few days ago was that interview that he gave with George Stephanopoulos of ABC. Man, what in the hell is this Alec Baldwin even thinking? What is going on in his little pea brain? He would be better off if he just lawyered up and shut the hell up, because he's digging himself into a hole that he ain't going to be able to dig out. I watched that stupid interview with George Stephanopoulos, and the direct impression that I got from that Alec Baldwin's testimony, or answering George's questions and stuff like that, first of all, he said he wasn't guilty. He didn't feel guilty about killing his cinematographer, or the director of cinematography on that Western movie called Rust. I forget, you don't have to forgive me, I forget what her name is. And then he was indicating that she was the one that told him to shoot, or whatever, like it was her fault that she ended up dead. That's 1,000 kinds of horse shit right there. And then he goes on to claim that he didn't pull a trigger. Oh yeah, I know. The gun just went off all by itself. I should say the firearm, the handgun. I'm an old military guy. There's no such a thing as a gun. It was a Colt 45. I know that old piece. I've seen enough pictures of it. The firing pin is built right onto the hammer. And irregardless of the mechanism, the only way that particular piece could go off without the assistance of a trigger and all of that stuff is if you dropped it and there was a live round in the cylinder, and that firing pin was on top of that live round, and you hit the top, you hit the hammer hard enough to cause it to punch that primer. Other than that, this thing of not pulling triggers, not messing around with hammers or anything like that. If you're not messing around with anything, how can something go off? This weasel, Alec Baldwin, is a weasel. It's just that simple. I stated a month ago when I did a video about this situation that I knew that he was going to try to weasel out of this situation. He no more cares if that director of cinematography, that young lady's dead or not. He's just trying to lie his way out of it. He had the handgun in possession. He fired it. He's responsible. Now, just to demonstrate my point here, this is the wrong pistol to have, because this is a semi-autoloader 45 ACP. It's a Kimber, but it's the only one that I own that's got a hammer. See that? It's got a skeletonized hammer on here. Now, I brought this out for several reasons. This thing is never going to go off with the hammer down like this. You do that right there, okay? You see that? But there's still a bunch of stuff that's got to happen. Like if you don't have this pressed down, that you can't squeeze the trigger. Over on this other side, right here, let me see if I can get, right here, is a safety. If that safety's up, you can't pull a trigger. You see what I'm getting at? And so this is a wrong kind of a pistol, but I think you get my point. Right now, the way it is, with the safety is off, like that. And if let me check this. I know this thing's empty, but here we go again. Everybody's got a responsibility to know what their firearm is. I know this thing's empty. But nevertheless, it doesn't hurt to check 2 or 3, 4 times or whatever have you. But everything being equal, safety being off on this guy right here, this hammer being pulled back, this has to be depressed in with the crook of your thumb and pointer finger like this. Then, and only then, you pull this trigger and then the firearm will go off. Now listen and watch carefully. See? Oh yeah, he didn't touch the trigger. Man, that's a lie. That's a lie from hell. And I have heard of firearms that have got hair triggers and all of that stuff. But a firearm like that shouldn't have been on that movie set anyway if it had a hair trigger. I ran into a few of them like that. And what I mean by a hair trigger is it doesn't take very much pressure at all on that trigger to get the hammer to drop. This right here's got a custom trigger in it, and we're only talking like 3 pounds of pull on this Kimber. Okay, and so that old Colt, the type that he had, was actually the type that you could hold the trigger down and take and fan that hammer. That's not a very safe thing to do, but back when we were kids, we used to mess around with that kind of stuff, Growing up here in Montana, I grew up around firearms all my life, started at about 15 years old. But even though that old 45 is an old piece, I know what Alec Baldwin's going to try to do. He's going to try to blame it on the firearm. Like, the firearm just went off. I don't know what happened. It's somebody else's fault. She ordered me to do it. It was the prop manager or whatever they call it, armor and all that stuff. Man, I'm telling you, these fools that work in Hollywood are just that. Fools. Fools. On a movie set, there only needs to be one person in charge of firearms and ammunition, live or dummies or whatever. One person, not a chain of command. That's not the way this works, in my humble opinion. You get a bunch of people involved, a bunch of mistakes are made, and there you go. But this guy, there was live ammunition in there. That pistol, that 45 Colt, I used to have one, by the way, it just didn't go off. There's only a few there's hardly any conditions that will allow a firearm with a hammer like this to just go off, or the hammer just suddenly fall down. There's got to be human interreaction. You got that, Alec Baldwin, you weasel, you man. See, he needs to answer up. He needs to take some responsibility for killing that woman. It's that simple. He broke every rule of firearm safety that I can possibly think of. First of all, he never checked the weapon. I'll bet you dime to dollar. He was pointing the weapon at somebody, a live person. That's a no-no. And even if he was fumbling around with that trigger and the hammer or whatever, all of that stuff's no-no in the world of firearm safety. And so my whole thing is, I know he's going to try to weasel out. Here I am, almost 70 years old. I've been around firearms all my life. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I've never even come close to accidentally killing somebody. And I've harvested a lot of big game animals. I've done a lot of target practicing, gopher hunting, all kinds of stuff. So this liar here, he needs to swing from the big limb by some manila rope. That's the way we used to do up here in Montana for these fools. Man, I got to get out of here. This is putting me in a foul mood, let me tell you. That Alec Baldwin is guilty, and I knew he was going to try to weasel out. I mean, what do you think he was going to accomplish with that George Stephanopoulos? Have like a Hollywood production or something? This fool. Man, I can't believe it. I can't believe it because if I done something like that, I would be in the Crowbar Hotel. I would. But he feels that he's important because he's a movie star. I don't even like this guy. Don't like his acting. I don't like nothing about him. I don't like the way he treats people. I don't like the way he looks. He looks like a little squinty-eyed snake to me. Okay, I'm out of here. This guy is such a liar, I can't even think. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself. Don't be another Alec Baldwin, whatever you do. We shall see you down the trail, and adios, my friends.